Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Now some of you may be wondering where I've been the last couple weeks, so let me share the project with you that's been keeping me busy. Let's get into it. This video is sponsored by Chica, better tools for a better life. Birdhouses are a really common woodworking project, and believe me, I have built my fair share of them. Everything from a small scrap wood birdhouse all the way up to a massive birdhouse. And I've even held a birdhouse building party, which is a really great video, by the way. You should check it out sometime. So a few weeks ago, I set out to build a fence picket birdhouse, and I figured it would be just another simple build. But boy, was I wrong. I wanted to make an octagon-shaped house with a steep roof, so I cut my fence picket into 12-inch long pieces and ripped them down to 3-inch wide strips with a 22.5-degree angle on each edge. So far so good, with a pretty simple glue up, just using painter's tape to wrap up the pieces. Well, trying at least. While that dried, I came up with an idea to not only make the roof steep, but to also make it curved and flare out on the ends. I have to admit, I was pretty proud of myself for coming up with an idea of using the long bendy ruler to create the curve. After cutting it out with the jigsaw, I started sanding, and that's when some ideas started churning. I ended up sanding the corners down completely smooth, so the transitions between the pieces was very gradual. After Googling a generic bird entry size, I drilled it out and then cut a piece for the bottom. Now before any of you start furiously typing in the comments about the lack of a clean out or vent holes, know that at this point I was intentionally leaning away from practicality and more towards aesthetics. I started sketching out some simple designs that I could add, but before you know it, I was headed down the rabbit hole. Without too much thought, I shifted the project over to my Chica rotary tool and set to work carving out all the details. Now my naive optimism had me thinking it couldn't possibly take me more than a few hours, but little did I know. I have to give props to Chica here. Their rotary tool with the extension may not be some crazy revolutionary tool, but it had no issues powering through the hours upon hours of carving. I'll leave a link to this little workhorse tool and the carving bits that I used in the description below. After literally days of carving and sanding, I pulled out the torch to remove all the fuzzy bits. And then I applied a coat of stain. Once it was dry, I started adding some detail with some acrylic paints and then went over the whole thing a few times with a wash made of some watered down black paint. At this point, I realized I hadn't even started on the roof, so I cut some 1.5 inch wide strips of my fence picket and then used the bandsaw to resaw them to 1/8 inch thick strips. And I thought the carving was a slow process. Since these roof slats will be overlapping each other, I used the bench sander to taper them to one side. I torched them along with a piece of dowel that I had cut to use as a ridge beam, and then I gave them all a coat of stain. Once they were dry, I notched out the peak of the house to hold the ridge beam in place and then started carefully adding the roof slats. I finished off the peak of the roof with a piece of picket that I had rounded over on the sander and then added an eyelet to the top. Though I will definitely not be sharing my laborious piece of art with the birds, I decided to go ahead and add a perch to nail home that whole birdhouse theme. Alright, I'm not calling this project completely done yet because there's still a few things I would like to add, and I'm sure you've noticed a big piece missing, which is the chimney that I have right here. But I have other obligations, so I had to come to a stopping point, and I wanted to just share it with you even though it's not complete yet. This project not only tested my patience, but it was also a really good reminder that not every project has to be some quick job that we have to finish. Sometimes it's good to just slow down and enjoy the process. Yes, I'm going to continue to do the quick and easy projects, but every now and then I would like to throw in a project like this, so let me know what you think in the comments below. A big shout out to Chica for sponsoring this video. If you want to check out that little workhorse of a rotary tool or the carving bits that I was using, I'll leave the links to those in the description below. I hope you all enjoyed today's video, and as always, thank you very much for watching. Be safe and have a great day.